Let's walk through the updated generic balances palette now. We define for the palette the account ID and balance and reuse this in the B tree map here. Now inside the implement block, we need to specify the generics now again, as well as for the palette, and restrict them to, for example, we force account ID to implement the order and the clone trait, and the balance is expected to implement a 0, checked sub, checked add, and copy trace. So this is crucial to implement. Next, the next change we needed to do is here in this line, inside the balance function. Previously it was here you could find zero, like, we'll do this very quickly, 0 like this here. But it's not possible anymore because we don't want to have value 0 here, but whatever balance 0 is going to return. This only balance knows what kind of type 0 is, and this is going to return it, and we will reuse to return it. Next, inside the transfer function, we have got the checked sub, and now we needed to include our reference here. Previously, it was just amount. Why do we need to do this? Well, if we, for example, take a look at what it was previously, for example, let's say 100, U120, 128. Now we access checked sub. We can see that the function expects self here, and it's from core and num. On the other hand, the checked sub here comes from the num trait and is the checked sub. So the naming is the same, but they're in fact two different functions. This one expects here a reference. That's why we needed to include the reference here. Now inside the tests, we access here super palette, and now with the turbofish notation, we define the palette. For the account ID, we initialize it with string or define it with string, and balance is supposed to be a U128 for this balances palette. The same applies for the transfer balance test. Now inside main, we define the types that we just extracted from balances into the main RS and define here account ID as a string, balance as U128. Important, make them pubs so we can access them inside the runtime. So we go here types and account ID and types balance. Thus we making it reusable. Now you might wonder, why do we make the balances palette generic but not the runtime? So we can create different kinds of balances palette and test it under different kinds of scenarios, for example. But the runtime is always the same. We create one runtime and that's it. When we want to dynamically adjust it, we can just change the types here, and there's no need to make it generic and overcomplicate things in this scenario. That's why we keep it simple for the runtime and don't really need generics.